Okay, so last week, right here at the museum offices, we ran one of our video boot camps, which we like to do, every once in a while. The next one is in London. Hope you show up. Anyway, when I started doing these boot camps, we had mostly journalists, mostly television people. Then, of course, the idea was we could get rid of the cameramen and soundmen, and we teach reporters to carry their own cameras and do their own stuff. That has changed. The technology has changed, and over time, different kinds of people have come in. It became photographers, and became writers, and became journalists, and now we really get a really strange, eclectic mix of people because everybody wants to do video. So last week we had somebody from an animal welfare thing, and we had somebody from the FBI, and we had some professor from Johns Hopkins University, and we had a guy who was a reality TV star. His name is Ben Sargent, and you may have seen him, you may recognize him. Here's actually a picture of him. So maybe you do recognize him. He's done stuff on the Food Channel. He's the king of chowder. He did a home improvement thing. The guy's been around for a long time. And the problem, of course, is when you're a reality TV star, unless you're like one of these couples on HGTV that are getting divorced, you don't make any money. The production company makes the money. And Ben has been through the mill enough times to understand and to watch it happen in front of him. The average, cable show, the network pays the production company $250,000 or $300,000 per half hour, and they buy them in blocks of 13 or 26, so you can do the math. Now, you understand the guy who has the talent gets paid next to nothing, but he does the lion's share of the work. And this was understandable in the days when you needed a cameraman, a soundman, or a producer in a production company, production assistants and PAs and researchers and all this other crap. There was a lot of overhead. But in point of fact, today, anybody can make TV, even with an iPhone, when you see the results you get from the 6s, and I can't wait to see the 10, which I have on order. So Ben came and he said, you know what, I'm tired of being on the reality show. I got all these ideas. I want a piece of the action. I want to set up my own production company. I want to learn to do it myself. And that's why he came there. And of course, that's what we taught him to do. It isn't that hard to do. It isn't that hard to create television programming. Now, the market for this thing is limitless, not necessarily reality shows per se, but content in general. You know the old expression, content is king. In today's world, content really is king. And of course, to me, the big breakout here is iPhones and smartphones because they shoot 4K video, which is better than most of those giant cameras you see people dragging around all the time. You actually can edit on the phone, which Ben did when he was here. He did all his editing on iMovie on the phone. The stuff looks great. You carry them with you all the time so you can get those kind of intimate moments. Ben's a really interesting guy. He's got a really interesting kind of food career. One of the things he did was when he lived in Williamsburg in Brooklyn, he started making lobster rolls out of his apartment. He introduced lobster rolls to New York. And he told me he was making 250 lobster rolls a day. He's filling his kitchen in his little apartment with lobsters, boiling them up, making lobster rolls, and selling them from the apartment at $20 a lobster roll. He had people lined up around the block. Well, that's $5,000 a day. That's not a bad piece of change. Well, I guess there's something of a reality show there. And, of course, if you got the phone with you all the time, all you got to do is shoot the stuff. He told me the police came, actually the Board of Health came and called the police and shut him down, and they closed off the street, and they brought in the fire department. I mean, these are great moments. And when this kind of stuff happens, you don't really have time to go and book your producer and the crew and the lighting and the associate producer and get permission to do a script and all that kind of crap. The fact is, since you got a phone with you all the time, and since it shoot broadcast stuff, I see Chris Keene has joined us from the FBS. Chris, you know what I'm talking about. You guys could shoot iPhone all day long. You got the phone with you. It's always in your pocket. When something happens, just bang it out. And of course, if you know what to do, 5 shots, close up on the face, close up on the hand, don't move the camera, stuff like that. You record all you need. So I said to Ben, your life is a reality show. You don't need the artifice of a production company and a plan and all this kind of stuff. And of course, to sell a reality show, all you got to do is create a killer 1-minute or 2-minute reel, which we're happy to teach you how to do. And of course, with Ben, he came back, and after 4 days in the class, he goes, I get it. I understand this. I want to do this. Will you guys work with me? And so, I got an email from today. He's got some ideas that he wants to do. I'm happy to crank out 5 or 10, pitch reels to cable companies with him as the star, and we'll partner on the thing. And then he can make some real money. The real money in this business is not being the star of the reality show, even though it looks that way for people who watch TV. The real money is being the production company. And if you really want to get smart, owning the content and then licensing it back to networks. There's 40,000 cable channels around the world. They run 24 hours a day. They need about 300 million hours of content every year, and they pay for it. If that isn't a business, I don't know what is. So Ben, I think you're great. We're going to do something with you, and if you have an idea for a cable show or a reality show or something you want to do online, the first thing, of course, is get the training, and then once you know how to do this yourself, we're more than happy to join up with you too. Always looking for partners, and we always go 50-50, more or less. Anyway, I'll talk to you later.